Are searching for at least one gunman behind a deadly drive-by mass shooting. This happened late last night as people were leaving a party at a restaurant and lounge. You're looking now at video of the chaotic aftermath. Police say a dark-colored vehicle drove past the crowd that was standing outside. Someone in the car, possibly more than one person, fired into the crowd before driving away. 4 people were killed, 14 others were hurt. NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster joins us now. Shaq, what do we know about this investigation? Does this look like it was a targeted shooting?
Well, we'll expect to hear from police and city leadership in just the next hour or so. All that they've said so far is that there is no suspect in custody and that this is, of course, something that is under investigation. This shooting took place around 11 p.m. last night outside of a listening party for Chicago rapper Mellow Buckz. They say after the event that started around 7 p.m., a dark-colored vehicle pulled up and began shooting into the crowd before speeding away. I want you to listen to what one witness said. After
Let's begin. Mellow Buckz, born Melanie Doyle, is a Chicago-based rapper who emerged from the city's underground music scene and steadily built a following over several years. Though not nationally known at the time of the incident, she had developed a strong regional presence, particularly among younger audiences in the Midwest. Her music, marked by aggressive lyricism and beats rooted in drill and trap, resonated with listeners familiar with Chicago's urban realities. Doyle was reportedly in her early to mid-20s at the time of the album release event. Her artistic persona, Mellow Buckz, reflected themes of resilience, struggle, ambition, and loyalty. She cultivated a social media presence that emphasized both street credibility and loyalty to her supporters. Known for her live performances, Mellow Buckz was often praised for her ability to energize crowds through her stage presence and lyrical delivery. Her growing reputation allowed her to book headlining shows and attract collaborations with other regional artists. On the night of July 2nd, 2025, Mellow Buckz hosted a private album release party to celebrate the launch of her latest project. The event was intended to mark a major milestone in her career and was seen by close associates as a celebration of her progress in the industry. It was not open to the general public, but was instead curated through invitations and word-of-mouth promotion. The venue chosen for the event was Artist Lounge, located at 311 West Chicago Avenue in the city's River North District. Artist Lounge had a reputation for upscale ambience, but was also known for its nightlife clientele and prior incidents involving violence. The artist and her team reportedly selected the location due to its central location and its previous association with celebrity parties. The guest list included a mix of individuals from the local entertainment scene: hairstylists, dancers, producers, club promoters, influencers, and personal friends. Some guests had close personal ties to Mellow Buckz, including family members and her boyfriend, Devontae Williamson, who was present that night. Despite the scale of the event and the presence of high-profile individuals, questions remain about the level of security provided at Artist Lounge during the party. Reports suggest there was no visible use of metal detectors at the door, nor were there clearly enforced bag checks or pat-downs. The venue, while equipped with security cameras, was not publicly confirmed to have any off-duty law enforcement stationed during the event. It remains unclear if private security personnel were properly licensed or adequately staffed to manage the crowd and protect the perimeter. Estimates of the crowd size range between 70 and 100 individuals, filling the club near or beyond its operating capacity, with attendees gathering outside in traffic continuing in the nearby street. The perimeter around the venue was described by multiple witnesses as congested and loosely monitored. In the hours leading up to the shooting, social media platforms were flooded with content related to the party. Flyers and digital invites circulated on Instagram and Snapchat, showcasing the artist's branding and confirming her live appearance at Artist Lounge. Users began posting images and videos from the venue as early as 8 p.m. Party-goers uploaded Instagram stories displaying the interior of the club, including bottle service, dance floors, DJ performances, and group celebrations. Snapchat posts captured people entering the venue and interacting with the host. The event appeared to draw a crowd of young adults in their 20s, dressed for nightlife, many of whom were influencers or affiliated with Chicago's creative circles. Inside the lounge, the atmosphere was described as vibrant, festive, and high energy. A local DJ played a mix of drill, hip-hop, and R&B tracks throughout the night. Bartenders were seen serving drinks consistently, and crowd interactions remained mostly peaceful. Attendees engaged in dancing, taking selfies, and enjoying the event. Several individuals close to the artist noted that she was in a celebratory mood, frequently moving to the crowd to thank supporters, pose for photos, and acknowledge her team. The celebration was described as informal but structured enough to showcase the album's content and mellow buckz' gratitude toward her audience. At approximately 11 p.m., guests began exiting the Artist Lounge in downtown Chicago, following conclusion of mellow buckz' album release party. The event had drawn dozens of young people, many affiliated with Chicago's entertainment, beauty, and nightlife scenes. As crowds gathered near the entrance and sidewalk, a black SUV approached from the west. Witnesses described it as possibly a Honda Pilot or Dodge Durango, though no official confirmation has been released. As the SUV slowed down near the lounge, at least 2 individuals inside opened fire on the crowd. Some witnesses claimed a third person was also inside, possibly serving as a spotter or additional shooter. The assailants used automatic weapons and handguns, spraying bullets indiscriminately into the group standing outside. Over 30 rounds were discharged in less than 20 seconds. The attack caused immediate panic. Guests began screaming, running in all directions, and dropping to the ground to avoid gunfire. Some were hit while fleeing. Others were struck while standing still. The shooters remained inside the vehicle throughout the incident, never exiting or interacting with anyone on foot. No shots were returned. No security personnel or bystanders appeared to be armed or responded with counterfire. Once the gunfire stopped, the SUV accelerated eastbound and disappeared. Its occupants have not been identified or apprehended. Despite multiple nearby surveillance cameras in the heavily monitored River North area, no public footage of the suspects or vehicle has been released by authorities. When emergency services arrived, they discovered a mass casualty scene. Blood covered the pavement outside the club's entrance. Victims were lying on sidewalks near cars and across the road. Ambulances began transporting the wounded to 2 major trauma centers, Stroger Hospital and Northwestern Memorial Hospital. In total, 18 individuals were shot. 4 victims were fatally wounded. 14 others were hospitalized. Several were listed in critical condition. Others sustained non-fatal gunshot wounds. The victims were primarily black men and women, ranging in age from 21 to 32 years old. The majority of them were associated with either mellow buckz, her social circle, or the nightlife scene. Taylor Walker was a hairstylist and beauty entrepreneur. She had established herself as a skilled professional in the Chicago hair industry, known for working with a number of local artists, including mellow buckz. Her clientele included influencers, musicians, and fashion stylists. Walker was also a mother of 2 young children. Friends and associates describe her as driven, consistent, and focused on building a better life for her family. She had previously shared aspirations of opening her own salon. She was shot in the chest during the attack and later died at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. She was reportedly leaving the lounge when she was struck by gunfire. Her death was confirmed hours later by her mother and siblings. Aviance King, also known by her legal or professional name Aviance Drexler, was a certified healthcare worker. She was attending the party with friends from her community and was known to have had a long-standing friendship with mellow buckz. Aviance was described by family and co-workers as kind-hearted, compassionate, and community-driven. She had worked in several clinics on Chicago's South Side and was pursuing further certification to become a registered nurse. She was shot near the entrance of the venue and died on the scene or en route to hospital. Her death was later confirmed by hospital officials. Devontae Terrell Williamson was the boyfriend of mellow buckz and a recently new father. He was often present in the rapper's social media and had reportedly been involved in planning the release party. Devontae was known for his outgoing personality and social popularity within Chicago nightlife circles. He was struck in the chest and later died at Stroger Hospital. Multiple eyewitnesses said he was attempting to help others get into a rideshare vehicle when the bullets hit him. Devontae's death gained widespread media attention due to his relationship with mellow buckz and his status as a young father. Leon Henry, age 25, was among the 4 individuals killed in the shooting. Public records confirm his death at Stroger Hospital due to a gunshot wound to the head. Few personal details have been released about Henry. He was believed to be a local affiliate of others attending the event. His connections to the primary party organizers remain unclear. Law enforcement has not publicly released any potential background or gang affiliation. Henry's death was confirmed by the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office.
Family members share a photo of 23-year-old Devontae Williamson tonight, describing him as a very smart, caring, loving father of a daughter who he loved with all his heart. In a statement, family also told us that Devontae would always brighten up a room with a big smile. His passion was pursuing truck driving. He obtained his CDL last year. Devontae was among dozens at a release party for a local rapper who apparently had rivals.
This wasn't some random shooting. They didn't care who was struck, and in a matter of seconds, they were able to shoot 18 people.
We spoke with family members of a few of the victims tonight. At least one also fears retribution by whoever sprayed bullets across a crowd of people just leaving Mellow Buckz release party at Artist Restaurant and Lounge in River North.
There was just a body outside of our door, and there was just a lot of blood everywhere.
Taylor Walker was another of the four who died last night. Her aunt tells me they're all talked out. But over the phone, she shared how the 26-year-old was good friends with the rapper and also went to support Mellow Buck. Taylor's described as a bright and intelligent hairdresser who loved fashion and being with loved ones. She was looking forward to going on vacation next week. Now we know the names of the other two victims. They're Leon Andrew Henry and Aviance King, also in their 20s. Tonight, the alderman is infuriated that this has happened at this location again.
I don't want to see this venue reopen ever. And I don't think this particular address should ever be considered for a liquor license ever again, given its horrible history.
This as we approach the 4th of July holiday. Last year, more than 100 people were shot and 19 were killed.
Shootings like these are a tragic reminder of how far we still have to go as a city.
And we reached out to the artist venue team, and they said in a statement, we are deeply saddened by this unforeseeable tragedy. They said we are cooperating with law enforcement. For now, we're live at Northwestern Memorial. Natalie Martinez, NBC 5 News.
Of the 14 people injured during the attack, 13 were women and one was a man. Their names have not been released publicly due to medical privacy laws and safety concerns. Several of the survivors remain hospitalized weeks later, dealing with multiple gunshot wounds and internal injuries. Some survivors suffered damage to the spine, legs, and torso, leaving them either temporarily or permanently disabled. Others were discharged but now face significant physical therapy and mental health challenges. Witnesses said some of the injured were trampled during the chaos that followed the shooting. Others were struck while attempting to help fallen friends. Videos posted online show at least 3 victims crawling or bleeding heavily while people scream for help. Many of the survivors have reported developing PTSD symptoms, including night terrors, panic attacks, and the inability to return to work. Several face ongoing financial struggles due to lost wages and high medical bills. A few have launched fundraising pages to cover treatment costs. To date, none of the injured survivors have been provided protection, as suspects remain at large and the motive behind the shooting is still unclear. The aftermath of the shooting at Artist Lounge was immediate and catastrophic. Within seconds of the first shot being fired, the sound of gunfire was replaced by screams and chaos. Eyewitnesses reported bodies lying motionless on the pavement, while others attempted to flee in every direction. The sidewalk and street were stained with blood. Several victims were found face down near the venue's entrance, surrounded by shattered glass, abandoned belongings, and shell casings. Personal items were scattered across the scene. Phones dropped during the panic, heels and sneakers torn off while running, wigs and purses left behind. Some partygoers ducked behind parked vehicles, tried to avoid being hit. Others tried to shield friends or crawl to safety. Witnesses say many didn't realize what happened until they saw blood on their own clothes or the lifeless body of someone beside them. Within minutes, emergency services were called. Multiple ambulances and police units arrived at the location. First responders quickly assessed the scene, attempting to triage the wounded. Many of the victims were unresponsive. EMTs worked quickly, but the number of casualties overwhelmed them. Bystanders attempted to help, applying pressure to wounds or yelling for help. Some victims were loaded into ambulances by strangers due to the shortage of paramedics. Both Stroger and Northwestern trauma centers received an influx of patients within a short period. Doctors and nurses were alerted to a mass casualty event. The emergency rooms were crowded, and several patients were listed in critical condition. Families began to arrive at both hospitals, searching for loved ones. Inside and outside the hospitals, confusion spread as authorities tried to identify the deceased and the wounded. As sirens echoed in the background, the media presence grew. Local news stations quickly arrived at the scene, followed by national outlets. Aerial footage from news helicopters showed stretchers, flashing lights, and a crowd of onlookers. News reports initially miscounted the victims, citing conflicting numbers. Videos taken by witnesses began circulating online within an hour. The footage, some graphic and disturbing, went viral, drawing attention from across the country. News of the shooting spread quickly, and families began calling hospitals, friends, and law enforcement for information. When confirmation came that 4 individuals had died and over a dozen more were injured, reactions ranged from stunned silence to visible collapse. Taylor Walker's mother gave a brief statement to the media while standing outside the hospital. She said, "I've buried 2 children already. I can't do this again." Her daughter, a 26-year-old hairstylist and mother of 2, had simply gone out to celebrate her friend's music release. She was shot in the chest and died shortly after arrival at the hospital. Devontae Williamson's mother also spoke out. "My son just became a father," she said, holding a photo of him smiling with his newborn. "He was full of life." Devontae had been dating the artist hosting the event. He was also shot in the chest and died at Stroger Hospital. As word of the victims' identities spread, the community mobilized quickly. Hashtags like #JusticeForTaylor and #ArtistShooting began trending locally and then nationally. Friends and family members of the deceased posted tributes, photos, and memories on social media platforms. Influencers and fellow artists expressed condolences, while others demanded accountability. Online fundraising efforts were launched to support the victims' families. Several GoFundMe pages were created, with thousands raised within hours. Community members also planned candlelight vigils. One vigil took place outside Artist Lounge just 48 hours after the shooting. Another was held in Taylor Walker's neighborhood, where mourners released balloons and lit candles. The sense of grief and anger in the community was widespread. Many questioned how something so violent could happen at a highly publicized, seemingly secure event in one of Chicago's most monitored areas. Almost immediately after the shooting, attention turned to the venue itself. Artist Lounge was criticized not only for the incident, but also for its past. The club had a documented history of violence. Previously operating under the name Hush Lounge, the venue was the site of a fatal shooting in 2022. During that incident, a man was shot and killed during a confrontation at the bar. Although the name was changed and management claimed to have rebranded in 2023, public records indicate that the location continued to attract high-risk events. The July 2nd shooting raised new questions about whether Artist Lounge was operating within the bounds of city safety regulations. Reports surfaced suggesting that the venue may not have employed sufficient security staff. There was also speculation about whether metal detectors or ID scanners were in use at the door. These details remain unconfirmed by the venue's management. Further scrutiny came from the alleged absence of critical surveillance footage. While downtown Chicago is equipped with numerous street cameras, authorities reported that footage from the immediate vicinity of the entrance was either missing or unavailable. The venue's own internal security system also failed to capture a clear view of the shooters or their vehicle. Residents and community leaders began questioning why a venue with known history of violence was still allowed to operate. Several noise complaints and prior police responses to the club had reportedly been filed in the past 2 years. Activists, neighborhood representatives, and some city officials demanded the immediate closure of the venue. The debate extended to the broader public. Many questioned whether venues with violent histories should be allowed to reopen under new names or ownership. Critics of the city's nightlife regulation policies argued that there was a lack of oversight, gang-related activities once flagged. The businesses would lose access to licenses needed to operate nightclubs or host large events. Additionally, there's a growing push for an ordinance that would require all venues hosting events with over 100 attendees to install metal detectors. This includes private clubs, lounges, and event spaces operating after 9 p.m. Supporters argue that such measures would deter armed entrants and reduce risk. Opponents, including some in the hospitality industry, argue that these rules could hurt business, particularly for Black-owned nightlife establishments already struggling post-COVID. However, the victims' families continue to advocate for these laws, calling them common-sense safeguards. City Council has yet to vote on the proposals. As of July 2025, no arrests have been made in connection with the shooting. Chicago Police Department officials have confirmed they are still analyzing digital evidence, including surveillance footage, license plate reader data, and cell tower pings in the area around 311 West Chicago Avenue. Despite the fact that the shooting occurred in one of the most surveilled areas of the city, no suspects have been identified publicly. The black SUV involved in the drive-by shooting has not been recovered. Investigators also have not released suspect descriptions, weapon tracing results, or findings from recovered shell casings. The absence of suspects has led to public frustration. Victim advocates claim the case is suffering from a lack of urgency. Families have staged protests demanding transparency and federal support. Survivors and their families continue to cope with devastating consequences. Several victims still face long-term physical limitations from gunshot wounds. At least 3 have had surgeries, with one now permanently using a wheelchair. Psychologically, the impact has been widespread. Many survivors report symptoms of PTSD, insomnia, panic attacks, and chronic anxiety. Some refuse to enter crowded spaces or attend public events. Multiple survivors have quit their jobs or dropped out of school due to trauma-related stress. Family members of the deceased remain in grief. Mellow, buckz, whose boyfriend and close friend were killed, has remained largely silent since her initial Instagram post. Meanwhile, communities continue to hold vigils and share tributes, but many express feelings of helplessness and fear. What began as a night of artistic celebration quickly devolved into chaos and death. 4 young lives, Taylor, Aviance, Leon, and Devontae, were taken in seconds. They leave behind children, partners, families, and a community desperate for closure. Despite promises of justice, no suspects have been named. The venue has been closed. Lawsuits are in motion. Policy proposals have been introduced. But the real question lingers. Will any of this prevent the next tragedy? For now, this case remains another entry in Chicago's long list of unsolved mass shootings. And for those left behind, the search for answers continues. Do you believe this was a targeted hit or random violence? Should the club be permanently shut down after this? Why haven't police made arrests despite surveillance in the area? Is enough being done to protect nightlife attendees in urban cities? What justice looks like for the victims' families? What would you demand? If you found this story as gripping and heartbreaking as we did, don't forget to like this video and share it with others. And if you want to